My name is Amy, and thank you very much for watching. So, this series is cursed. I don't know what to tell you. I was, well, I do know what I am going to tell you is that, changing jobs, even when it is literally the same job and you're not doing anything different, is time consuming. And, so I didn't get back to this, but I also didn't make the deadline for me to get paid at my new job. So there's that. I'm going to get paid in the mail, which is basically the same as me just never getting paid for like the first 2 weeks I'm at the job. So there's that. But I am on my docking station 3 monitor setup today at my desk. So this will be much easier for me to see and have them side by side, and hopefully you can see it better as well. So that's why my head is not facing you. I am looking at a bigger screen. So I have not paid the ad tax yet, so I'm unsure. Anyway, I don't even know where I am right now. We were doing hard hat stuff. We were deploying things, going over, oh my gosh, we're going to have to do things like go back a couple of minutes and rewatch some of this. So, what are we doing?
Okay, cool. So we've deployed our contract. We've automatically, programmatically verified our...
I started working in marketing and web design basically out of college and knew WordPress was popular, and that's what a lot of web designers...
Okay, yeah, so we are watching the whole ad because they deserve to get their money from me, but this is a procedure. It's kind of like Rails when they have the rake tasks, and then we did a try and a catch if it's already verified, and I think that's what we were doing. We were calling verify contract, and we were awaiting this. I think I may have. It's fine. They deserve both ads. So pretty sure this is, and also I should probably in the readme actually this one. I think this is the one. Is it? Okay, so it's already been deployed. Or, I mean, it just got deployed now.
What's next? Well, what did we do last time?
So, let's talk about he did his as if it's equal to 4, which is the rank B testnet, but I just did if it is not the local, which means that we can switch the chain, the testnet, and it won't break my code. Like, it won't run in unexpected ways. So make sure that I yeah. So oh, see, this has verify contract, and he just has verify. So I'm not sure if Oh, wait, okay, so that's not great. So verify contract is this, and we've given the simple address. It doesn't look like it's actually console logging this, and it's also not doing this. Maybe if we do await. Oh, wow. Hey, look at this. So, Bushashi. Yeah, it's not great when you, put logic statements inside of a console log instead of where it's supposed to be. So, let's see if that is helpful for this. So we are actually going to oh, you know what? Chain ID is that, so we have to actually do network. It was working. That helps. This contract is deployed locally through Hardhat. So if we do -- network Gorelli, which we will also put this in the README so that I do not have to remember shit like this. It is deploying the contract. Also, am I still connected to my MetaMask? I am. So this is taking longer, which means I should probably go on with the tutorial, but that really did get to me. I'm glad that I'm doing this during the day when I have, you know, the brain cells too, and I'm actually using a bigger monitor, so it is much easier for me to catch things. So there's also that. But yeah, that was why that was happening, which is great. So the chain ID is 5, which means that this should be actually running the verify contract. So we'll see. And it's waiting for 6 blocks to happen before it runs again. So
We started interacting with the contract. So let's do const current value equals await simple storage dot retrieve.
So I don't particularly, okay, so if else, and we're here, and I would rather not do this while they're doing, like telling us what they're doing, but a lot of these tutorials, they just, they write it, and then what they do is they switch the screen really, really quick, and then you have to go back. So
to get the current value, simple storage.sol.
see, he did it, and then it just went really, really quick. So I think retrieve is what...
We have a retrieve function, which returns...
Okay. So yeah, if we go to... simple storage, and we have the retrieve, we get the favorite number.
It's the favorite number. So let's get the current value, and we'll do console.log.
I want to do like current favorite value, but okay, so this is saying that it successfully verified simple storage on Etherscan. We can press the command key and click on it, and it will open up, and hey, source code is verified. Woo! We have the SOL, we have the settings, we have the contract ABI. This is very nice, very nice. So, what are we doing with this information? Besides, I cleared my console, so we can't see it anymore. Nothing. I think if we ran it again, it would have the error. Which will take basically forever. But that's cool. So he was just explaining that he was doing the console log thing. T90 is 5. We are waiting for this to be already verified. So we will go through his explanation. And oh my gosh, I was on Thursday, I was like, yeah, we're going to get through just get to lesson 7. And now it is 1 p.m. and I'm barely even starting this. So I told you that we were pushing way too hard. But I was able to relax yesterday. I went to bed early, and this is literally my only task I'm doing today. And, well, okay, that's not true. But this is my only goal for today that has precedence. And everything else I do is going to be on breaks. And we're not going to have 3-hour breaks, because we need to get through lesson 10, so like 6 hours this weekend, and then I will start to the lesson 8 is the most interesting thing for me, because I really just want to start programming. So I am the sort of person that just looks at the time, and it helps motivate me. So let's just get through the next hour, 53 minutes to be exact, and then we'll just take this one lesson at a time.
Current value is, and then some string interpolation.
Are you even kidding me? I don't know if you saw that, but basically, it is case sensitive. So the C needed to be uppercase for it to not explode in my face.
Current value. And then we'll go ahead and update the current value by doing const transaction response equals await simple storage.
Okay, so we are now to the point where I really think that this should be async function get current. So this should, instead of being, this should just be a return, right? So and then we're gonna change okay, so we're gonna do another async function set current favorite number simple storage. I think you can't really set async outside of a function. Like in the maybe if we did a constructor, this would make more sense. That way you don't have to actually pass the simple storage literally everywhere. And I think I could actually just look and see like add person. Oh, it's dot store. Main. Just do retrieve us. So this is simple storage, and then I guess we could do it like that. I would just want to copy this whole thing and then copy this. No. And we're just overloading the function or the value to just be current value, and then simple storage, and we'll set it to like 89, I guess. I mean, that should be it. Maybe we don't need the await again, but so this can run locally, right? We're not deploying the transaction, but it should log the current value and then set it locally. Okay, what is this doing? So current value. Months is 1. Create list value is okay, so retrieve store. Oh, okay, so I'm done, or I'm not done. I did this wrong. So we're going to do it like this, and then we're just going to reset this. That's silly. I'm silly. Okay, so does that make sense to you? I basically this sets the store value, and then this gets the value again. So, and the value was reset. So I don't think it should be 89 and then set to 42. Okay, no, it just resets literally every time. That's good to know. But this is correct. So it's going to look a little different than what Patrick is doing. But it's literally better to have it in different functions, because even if I am not testing this right now, having it basically doing functional programming makes it much easier for me to like set a fake simple storage and get the retrieved amount and check that like this is giving me, like, every function should only have one input and have one output. That is functional programming at its simplest form. Like these might, if you have a monster function like this is basically a composer function, but it shouldn't be having any of its own logic in here, because it can have unexpected results. Like if we had this as like equals 4, and then all of a sudden we change from Goerli to Coven, and it breaks and we don't know why, and it's more difficult to look inside of this function. So I would create like a is local chain function, have that out here, and that way we can check like why this is doing this. But it's fine. This is just literally him going through and making sure we understand basically. So let's just keep going.
Store. We'll store the number 7, and then we'll await transaction response. Wait. We'll wait 1 block for that transaction to go through, and we'll grab the
Okay, so I did not just try to copy from here, but so So we'll just like say const transaction response equals await, and then transaction response dot wait 1, and then we're just going to return null because we can. So we are expecting this to not break. That would be, yeah, this is the best response we could have waited for. But this, the wait stuff is important because otherwise you might have like, what do they call it? It's like a race condition. Yes, you do not want a race condition, like literally racing. So like if you have a flaky test and you don't have this wait, that's probably why.
The updated value by saying const updated value equals await simple storage dot retrieve, and then we'll do console.log updated value is updated value. Awesome. And this is going to be our whole script. So if I can zoom out for a little bit, I know it'll be a little bit small here. We've got this huge main function, which does what? Well, it deploys our contract. If we're on a test net, it then verifies our contract, and then it updates the value to 7. And we have our verify function down here, and we have a section of our code that calls our main function. Now, if I run this on the hard hat network, what do you think?
All right. So why don't we run this on Corelli while we're looking for this, because it's going to take a little bit.
What happened? Well, let's try it. Yarn, hard hat run, scripts, deploy.js. All right, awesome. We get exactly what we saw before. We get deploying contract, deployed contract 2, current value is 0, updated value is 7. And there's nothing in here about verification. That's exactly what we want. Now, moment of truth, let's try this on Rinkeby. We'll do yarn, hard hat run, scripts, deploy.js, -- network, Rinkeby. And it's going to go a lot slower because obviously now we're deploying to an actual test net where the blocks actually need to be mined. And we see we have indeed deployed the contract. Now,
well, I mean, it's a good thing we're watching this video and have to catch up.
that our contract is deployed, we know that we're currently waiting 6 block confirmations for us to go ahead and verify. And actually, I should add console.log, waiting for block tx's, so that we don't get kind of this weird, oh, wait, what are we doing now? And it looks like we ran into this error, no such file or directory. It looks like our code might not have compiled correctly here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and delete our artifacts, move to trash. I'm going to delete our cache as well. I'm going to try rerunning this. Whenever you run a script with the hardhat command, hardhat will automatically recompile it for you, especially if there's no artifacts folder. So we're going to rerun this command, and hardhat's going to compile first, and we can see that it does exactly that, and then it's going to go ahead and redeploy. Hopefully this time it should be able to find the contract that it just compiled. Looks like this time, after I deleted the artifacts folder, we actually did indeed get some successful compilation, and we can see here, successfully submitted source code for contract for verification on the Block Explorer. Waiting for verification results. Successfully verified contract simple storage on
Okay, so we're actually going to rf contracts. No, that's not what you want to do. You want to do artifacts and oh, I want to do a git push because that's the habit I have, but we don't have that. I just wanted to make sure that when I did this, it I didn't do anything stupid like delete the contracts folder and not have a backup. I just want it to actually, because when you run it locally, it updates the value. But when I run it in Gorelli, I have noticed that it does not update the value in the contract. So there's that.
Etherscan. It even gives us a link that we can go ahead and command click or control click into, and we can see the contract indeed being verified. This is awesome. All right, this is perfect. We've now got a successful deploy.js script that can deploy, verify, and then interact with our code. This is fantastic. This hard hat thing seems pretty cool. What else can we do with hard hat? Like I showed you before, hard hat comes with these tasks, and the number of tasks that hard hat can come with can be extended by us writing plugins. We can actually write our own tasks in hard hat, and in our hardhat.config, it can defaulted with this task account. We can see task accounts prints the list of accounts, and just prints a list of accounts here. We can actually go to the hard hat documentation to learn more about creating our own tasks. One of the ways that you can define tasks is directly in our hardhat.config.js.
Okay, so
But
this
typically
really
what people
like,
do,
it really is like rake tasks for Rails. So require module export. Okay, so we can have and then so we're going to define our own task. And I'm pretty sure that like okay, well let's go to their GitHub and so that I can just copy. No. New tab. Yes. No, go to site. Please don't background. Okay. Sorry, we're 9 hours and 11 minutes into this. It's a little late for us to be jumping around everywhere. So we're in lesson 6. I'm highlighting lesson 7 because that is my goal. We're manifesting us getting through this eventually. So, yeah, so we go to this and we're gonna go to this, and I just want to look at weird. Okay. So it just looks like list of accounts. So like when you do like hard hat help, it'll just print that as the instructions. I don't know if there's anything else but task args and then HRE. And I'm pretty sure that looks like that should be the correct syntax to me. It's hard when it doesn't show the entire thing, but const accounts equals that the thing I'm humming about is that the fact that it actually just added the async for me when I did await. It was like, I'm not playing around with you. Okay. I just like to, and this is also something I do that's not professional, but whatever. So by doing that, it helps to, like if you get a huge output, and I just like to put like a long string of the same character. That way when I'm scrolling up, I can like box in and I can see what I like, where in the code the console log was. Very easy.
Is they have a new folder called tasks where they put all their tasks. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and delete this section here, and we're going to create our own task.
Okay, so mkdir tasks, and then we'll just call it okay, so we're gonna get accounts, and we're going to that's kind of weird, but okay. So const task equals require hard hat. And does that automatically? It does not. So we'll see. Touch. Okay. So I'm just, while I'm here, basically gonna copy this over, but we're not gonna copy and paste. We're going to think about this. I think this is looking to see, well, first of all, this should be singular. We're getting the current block number. So I guess this gets the nonce. So we are importing the task from the hard hat config. And then task prints set action, then I'm assuming HRE and task things are just like the default arguments that are acceptable for the block number, for not block, but for like hard hat tasks. HRE. My cat wants something to drink. Of course you can get something to drink, dearie. Mini break, I guess. It's okay, sweetheart. It's no problem. You can step on my keyboard all day. I've got nothing to do. Yeah, so this is just getting the current block number and returning it. This is very exciting. Do we really need to learn Mocha to do this? I'm not sure if there's a, like, I've always just done jest testing. Not that I like just testing, but if you are dealing with a bunch of money, then you should definitely do some testing. And by some, I mean thorough, very thorough testing. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to, as we do this, go ahead and do my own project that I want to do as a part of just making sure I understand what this project is. So I'm looking forward to getting into the weeds with you. Really? Both of my cats are thirsty? Am I never programming again? Okay, we can switch. I have one cat for each hand for a reason. Okay, I won't touch you, but you can do whatever you want, sweetheart. What do you want? I mean, you want to drink. You don't want me to touch you. That's a May thing. I have one cat that she really only likes to drink when I'm petting her, and the other cat does not want me to touch her, which honestly is more typical of cats. But they are, in fact, sitting on top of my computer mouse, so. And she's cute. I'm starting to get hungry. But I want to get through this stupid lesson. I guess now that they're not on my keyboard, I can fix that. Get FLEC number. And then the other thing that they're doing is just a console log. Oh, they're doing the module exports too. You're a good baby. Yes, you are. Such a good baby. Ooh, big stretches. Okay. And it's the module exports that's definitely going to make this available to the world. I don't know why this thing that he's doing right now did not make it into the, does this need to be defined somewhere inside of the hard hat config? Is that what we're doing? See? We're so good at this. So inside of here, oh, okay. And then I'm expecting block number, okay. Okay, so it just defined, right? Which I guess we can add, keep this here. Does this have defined? I was expecting it. See? So it's now added to accounts here and block. So so if I run there we go. That's cool. Nice.
You'll notice that now that we've deleted that section, if we run yarn hardhat, we no longer see the accounts task in here because we've just deleted that task. So let's create our own new task. We'll call this block number.js. And we'll use this to get the current block number of whatever blockchain that we're working with. So let's create this task. First, we need to import the task function. We can get it by saying const task equals require hardhat/config. The hardhat/config has the task function in it. To define a task, we can now just say task, give it a name and a description. The name is going to be block number, and then the description is going to be prints the current block number. Now that we have this task, there's a couple of things we can actually do with it. We can add different parameters to it by using the .add command, which allow us to pass parameters to the task. And then we could also set actions, which define what the task should actually do. For us, we're just going to do dot.
So they're in the hardhat documentation, which has the tasks, like definitions and what you can do. So we're not actually adding any parameters to this in either of the examples that they're using. But if you did, it would have, like, there's probably a way for it to just do like the 0 argument and the 1 argument, you know, like the array if you want to do multiple arguments. But I'm pretty sure you can give it arguments if you really wanted to.
Set action and define what we want this function to do. So we're going to make this an async function that's going to take as an input the task arguments, which are going to be blank for us, and the HRE, which I'll define in a second. Now, let me explain the syntax really quickly. This might look a little bit weird, but this is what's known as a JavaScript arrow function. In JavaScript, you can actually define functions without even using the function keyword. For example, If we go back to our deploy function, we have our async function verify down here. However, another way we could have defined this is...
So, yeah, when you get to a certain level, it did not even faze me. So I'm sorry if that is something that is new to you. This must be a very, very difficult course for you. And that's not a slight. That's just an acknowledgement that this this course so far feels like an appropriate level for me, and not like, oh no, this entire concept is very new and I am bad at programming. So this is a very good course so far.
Is without using the function word at all and actually turning this whole thing into a variable. We could have said instead, we could say const verify is going to be an async function that takes contract addresses and arguments, and here's the function definition. These two lines are essentially equivalent. There's some slight differences between using the function keyword and having your function be a variable, but for the purpose of this course, they're basically the same. Which means, though, that this by itself is a function, just not assigned to a variable. But essentially, the two of these are exactly the same. And that's the syntax that we're doing here. You can imagine this sort of being like const block task equals async function, which takes the params and then runs that arrow function. Or you can think of it as async function block task, parameters, and then the function definition. These are all essentially the same. The major difference is that we're never giving our function a name. We never give it this block task variable. This is known as an anonymous function in JavaScript because it doesn't have a name. Now that we have our function in here, we can now call some function to get the block number. Well, how can we get the block number? When we run tasks, we automatically pass our anonymous functions the task arguments, which in this one we don't have any, but we also pass this HRE object. This HRE is the hard hat runtime environment. Back in our deploy script, this is basically the same.
Okay, we're actually going to write that down because I did not know that. So HRE stands for hard hat runtime environment. So there's that.
As this require hard hat in here. So this HRE can access a lot of the same, packages that the hard hat package can. So we can do HRE.ethers, just like how you can import ethers from hard hat. And in our ethers package, there's actually a number of functions we can use, like .provider, .get, block number. Let's save this to a variable, const block number equals, and this is going to be asynchronous, so we're going to want to add a wait here. And then let's do const.
I should probably also do hard hat.
.log block number, or better yet, we'll string interpolate this and say current block number, like this. Now though, if I try to run this task, you'll notice it doesn't show up in the hard hat list of tasks. Let's do yarn hard hat. I don't see block number in here. Well, this is because we need to add it to our config. So in our config, we'll add require /tasks /block number. And in order for us to import it, and let's add a module that exports. I'll explain what this does a little bit later. But now that we've required it, if I run yarn hard hat, I now see block number is one of the tasks that I can use. So now if I run yarn hard hat block number, we get current block number is 0. And this makes sense because this is defaulting to our hard hat network, which gets reset every time we run it. But if I run yarn hard hat block number -- network rinkeby, what do you think I'm going to get? I get a much larger number, current block number.
I think the thing here is that we need to do the task name and then the like the -- stuff. So npx hard hat network Corelli. This might throw an error. Nope. So I guess I'm assuming that this is probably the more standard way of writing it out, even though it doesn't error.
Number is right here, because this is the actual block number of RINC-B versus the block number of our hard hat network is going to be 0 because it gets reset every single time we run one of these scripts. Now, scripts and tasks both can basically do the same thing. They both can interact with contracts. They both can deploy smart contracts. They can both pretty much do everything. I prefer scripts just as a general rule of thumb because I don't always think adding a special thing from the command line makes sense. So I prefer scripts, but you'll see a ton of tasks and examples out there as well. I think tasks are really nice for specific use cases, but for the most part, we're pretty much going to use exclusively scripts. But
okay, so as someone that has done Rails before, tasks are for general things that you can deploy across contracts and projects, basically, like common tasks that need to be run, and maybe even just like meta things that need to happen. So like you can run a scaffolding task in Rails, which basically sets up the entire folder structure for you. And so if you wanted to create a task that is a new contract and it automatically creates a default test, then that would be a good example of like what a task would be used for. Or if you really do need to know like what the block number is or something like that, that's not a part of the contract but is something that you will be doing on the command line, then that is a good example for a task. Just as someone that has not actually read any of the hard hat documentation, and just as my personal experience as a Rails developer, that is how I would be using a task, or like how I understand a task to be. But I understand why we are mostly using the scripts, because they can achieve the same thing, and most of what we're doing is actually contract related. So yeah, if you wanted to like scaffold or have analytics or something like that, then that would be a good task.
it is good to know what a task looks like and how to use it. I think tasks are better for plugins and scripts are better for your own local development environment. But if you want to do everything with tasks, you absolutely can. As you're starting to see, this config piece is pretty powerful, and we can use it to modify our entire code base and our entire project to give our project more functionality. What else can this do? Well, right now, as you can see, every time we work with Hard Hat Network, every time we run a script, we run that script and then the Hard Hat Network is deleted, right? We can't interact with our contracts anymore. Well, there's actually a way for us to run a Hard Hat network similar to how we ran a Ganache network with a user interface. What we can do in Hard Hat is run yarn Hard Hat node
npx hard hat node. Okay, so I'm assuming that this is like npm run dev in Vue, where this actually instantiated a server, and now when I run really, what's two about this? Okay, so if I run deploy JS here, and then I change this to like 78, let me run this again. Nope.
And what this will do is it'll spin up a node on a local network exactly the same as Ganache, but in our terminal.
Okay.
So you see here, started HTTP and WebSocket JSON RPC server at this address. And just
If you hit command and you click on that. Okay. Well, that's rough.
just like Ganache, it comes packed with all these different accounts and private keys, which is awesome. You'll notice though, interestingly enough, that this node that we're running isn't on the hard hat network. Well, we can actually create a new terminal to try to interact with this just by hitting this little plus button and creating a new terminal. Again, I'm using Bash, but based off of whatever your operating system is, you could be using a different shell. And in here, let's go ahead and run yarn hardhat run scripts deploy.js and see what happens. Well, our typical setup happens. We deploy.
Okay, so does the plus do anything different? This might not work out very well, but px hard hat run scripts.
Our contract, we get a contract address, we update the value, but if we look at our node, it doesn't look like any transactions went through. We don't see any logging here. So what's going on? Well, our hard hat network is actually different from this locally running network here. This locally running network, we often want to refer to as our local host. So it's slightly different than the hard hat network. It's still using the hard hat runtime environment, but it's just not this default hard hat network. It's considered its own separate network when we're running a node that is going to live past the duration of a script. So we can actually interact with this by adding a new network to our hardhat.config.js. We'll create a new network and call it localhost. And exactly as we did up here, we'll give it a URL, accounts, and a chain ID. So for a URL, we can get that URL right from.
Oh. Okay, so. Let's see if that's a thing. And then chain ID is
our terminal output of running yarn hardhat node. By copying that and pasting it in here. We can then do a comma. We'll give it a chain ID of 31337 because even though it's considered a different network, it actually has the same chain ID as hardhat. Interestingly enough, I know I just said we were going to give it accounts, but we actually don't need to give it accounts because
because that's a little much. But okay, and then but we go back into the deploy script. We change this to oh, actually okay, so it looks like it did things, which is great. I just wanted to go from 78 to 42. Is that too much to ask? It's a jerk.
we run with this localhost, Hardhat will automatically give us these 10 fake accounts for us. So you can kind of think of the accounts here for this localhost as Hardhat already placing them in. Thanks, Hardhat. But now, if we go back to our bash here, let's clear the terminal, let's rerun this script, and we'll do dash dash network localhost. Now we should be pointing to this node. And when I run this script, we should see some logging output at the end of this node. So let's go ahead and hit enter. Well, we see our normal stuff on our deploy script. We flip back to our node. Wow, we see a ton of logging here. Similar to Ganache, we can see a whole bunch of different logs on what just happened. We can see a contract was deployed. We can see the address, the transaction hash, from, value, gas, and the block number and everything. We can also see our contract calling the store function to update the value of our favorite number. This is incredibly powerful for quickly testing and working with things on a local JavaScript VM or Hardhat network to be able to see how your contracts will interact on a real testnet. And this is much quicker than working with a real testnet. Now, additionally, same as what we said before, any process that's running in the terminal, we can kill it with Control-C. So if you want to stop your node and then restart it, you can hit Control-C to stop it, and then just up, and then rerun that same command to re-spin up your node. Control-C stops it, and then you can hit up to start again. Another way you can stop it, of course, is if you hit the trash can, which deletes the whole terminal. We pull the terminal back up. We can run it again. And just remember, if you hit the X, that actually doesn't delete the terminal, that just hides it. So our Hardhat node right now is still running because I just hit it. So if I pull it back up, I can see that it is indeed still running. But if I trash can it, and then I pull the terminal back up, I can see that it is no longer running. So running scripts is great, but what if I don't want to have to code an entire script to do some things? What if I want to just tinker around with the blockchain? Well, Hardhat comes packed with this thing called the console. The console is a JavaScript environment for us to run JavaScript commands to interact with any blockchain. We can jump into the console by running yarn, Hardhat, console, and then whatever network flag. If we want to work on Rinkeby, Mainnet, Polygon, Avalanche, etc. -- network localhost. And now we're
Okay. But now I'm a little upsetsy because I want it, if it's doing this, and you've done that before, then I mean, it's faster than going to Ganache, which is just something, I guess.
dropped into a shell here. In this shell, we can do everything that we do in a deploy script. And we don't even have to run these imports because everything with...
Okay, so npx hardhat console. Main is not defined. Okay, well then, what are we doing?
with Hardhat is automatically imported into our console. So for example, let's say I wanted to get a simple storage contract factory. Well, I could run exactly this line here. I could say const simple storage
Const. Okay. So, yeah, this is like, there's a Rails console command that does the same thing, and it helps with Okay. Do we have pry? Because what pry would do is when you're running it, you would put in the command binding.pry, and then you could troubleshoot like why your code is breaking, which is convenient, which is also why you should be doing functional programming.
Factory equals await ethers.get contract factory of simple storage. And now I can go ahead and even deploy this. So I can even just copy this line, paste it, and if we flip back to our node, we'll see that we just deployed another simple storage. And now I can do things like await simple storage dot retrieve, and I get the return value.
Got 2 equals there. So let's go back a couple seconds. Take off the closed captioning. So simple storage factory equals simple storage, but simple storage const simple storage equals await simple storage factory. So we're going to console again, and we're going to
simple storage dot retrieve, and I get the return value, which is going to be a big
That makes sense. So I didn't use the await, so it came back with a promise. So promises, promises, baby, I'm marvelous.
number with a value of 0. I can also make transactions. So I can do await simple storage dot store. Let's do 55.
That's all I wanted. all I wanted.
If I hit up twice, I can go back to the simple storage.retrieve, call that function, and I can see my big number has a value of 55 now. This is a great way to quickly interact with any blockchain that we want. Now you can exit the shell by hitting Control-C twice to get out. Or you can also trash can your terminal if you get confused. This console works with any network. We can even do yarn.
So it works with any network, which is great.
Hard hat console -- network hard hat, and we'll get dropped into a hard hat network. Now this is not going to be the same node that's running here. This is going to be one that only runs for the duration of this command. So whenever we cancel this command, this hard hat network gets canceled. We can close out of that too. We can also do yarn hard hat console -- network Rinkeby or Polygon or testnet or mainnet or whatever we want. And we can do things like ethers.provider. We can do things like await ethers.provider.get block number. Say the block number of Rinkeby. We can also deploy contracts. We can update contracts. We can do anything that we want. You can do anything in these consoles, and they're great ways to quickly test and tinker and interact with contracts. Now, there's a couple other tasks that are really helpful. You'll see before I went ahead.
I think now is a good time for me to have lunch because I can feel my concentration slipping a little bit, and we're half an hour until we are done with this lesson, which means we are so close to getting the starting to do FundMe this close. And then we're going to start doing the actual getting a front end together, which is amazing. Absolutely intriguing. So anyway, if you're watching this, thank you. Please let me know if you've been following along and what has been difficult for you for this. So anyway, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Also